Well, it's time for a review of stories making the headlines in the papers. With me in the studio for that are two gentlemen, leadership and communication strategist, Dr. Ojo, and a chartered accountant, Sheson Okwade. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with us. So let's head straight to the newspapers this morning, and we'll start with the Daily Trust. Major headlines here says, as Nigeria decides tomorrow, Lagos, Kano, Kaduna, Katsina, Rivers lead in voting numbers. Exercise your democratic rights, President Buhari tells Nigerians. And we move to the Punch, where it says 72,775,502 PVCs collected. Buhari says, let's have faith in INEC. INEC Chair Yakubu rejects resignation call. And, well, we have other writers there. We'll go to the Vanguard now, where it says, polls, federal government shuts borders at noon today. Police deploy audits, 350,000 officers, men, assets, army to deploy GOCs, brigade commanders, special task forces. Immigration waives the visas for accredited election observers, monitors. Won't interfere in Nigeria's internal affairs, Chinese government. Straight to this day now. With 72.7 million PVCs in their hands, Nigerians decide fate of President Buhari Atiku tomorrow. President, PDP candidate urged mass turnout to refuse to be intimidated. Secondus tells Nigerians INEC completes deployment of electoral materials. I'm not contemplating resignation, says Yakubu. Police reassure of adequate security. All right, so let's go into the papers this morning, gentlemen. And one of the stories that might interest you, Sheson, is oil prices have risen to $67.2 per barrel. Are you excited?
Yeah, very much excited because going by the budget that we have, I think the federal government made the budget to be at $60, which when they were actually fixing that figure, it was more or less like, will we be able, considering the dangling nature of the oil price, will we be able to achieve it? Because, you know, when you set a budget and you go below it, it becomes a bottleneck for you to fulfill some of the promises. But with this that we are saying at this early part of the year, I think it's going to be well with the country.
There should be some stability.
Yeah.
Is that what you foresee?
Yeah. With the way things are, we should be able to have a gain for us to do the right thing, more so that we are actually changing leadership.
What is the right thing you're talking about? Some
of the right thing is we are having more things to us. You have a budget of 60 and now you're having 67 per dollar. So you have a little float to play around, to give infrastructure, put in some medical things for people so that people can definitely enjoy things. Now you have more things for you to play around with.
Let's bring in Dr. now. Nigeria is saying that it would limit output after its production climbed in January. Is that the way to go?
It's not a subject of whether we want to limit output or not. It's a subject of the fact that we will not go borrowing unnecessarily, because now we have what we are producing, and if we have a benchmark of $60 to prepare our budget, and we're having 67, what that will add to the future is our ability to actually save this money. You remember during the past government, there were a lot of excesses here and there, but instead of investing it into the future of the people, what we saw is that at a point in time, it was squandered. So if we can have the right mindset now, then that means that we will not only reduce our borrowing, we'll also be saving for the future.
All right, quickly, Nigeria seems to be losing one of its major buyers despite this cheering news, gentlemen. India has signed a deal with the U.S. What does that portend for despite this increase?
It should actually open our eyes to the reality that any economy that totally relies on oil will be a dead economy, at least by the year 2040 or 2050 thereabout. It shows that whatever prosperity we can gain now as we speak from the oil industry, we should think about diversifying it into other areas.
Let's quickly, gentlemen, move on to this day. And one story that would also interest you is the Pope advocating strong measures to tackle sex abuse. We know the case of pedophilia that, you know, seems to have troubled the Catholic Church so far. Strong measures, would that really tackle this the issue of pedophilia?
Yeah, we need to take strong measures against some of those things. Some of those things, if I don't understand why people would just want to molest young people that are not even ripe for some certain thing. So some of these strong measures, well, people will advocate that you don't need to kill, but if we need to create a strict punishment that will deter people from doing this, definitely we'll go ahead and do it.
Let me quickly take Dr. on that. Create a punishment that would deter people. Do you think that would really?
I think in Africa, the first thing we need to do, because our own kind of religious practice is a little bit complex than what we have in other places, it is the freedom to talk about some of these things. We do not have the freedom. For example, there was an incident that happened in the church in a particular area of the Delta. And immediately the person wanted to raise alarm. The mothers in the church came together and said, you must not talk ill of the Reverend Father. So I think the first thing we should do as a people is to have the freedom to freely discuss some of these things. You cannot continue to molest people and you think that religious issues are not issues that we need to discuss. And once we start discussing it, you will see that automatically the rate will reduce. Why people continue with this art is because of the fact that they know that either we like it or not, religious practices has fenced the discourse from being a public domain.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for your contributions so far on the newspaper headlines this morning.